Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditam Astu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May that one protect us both. May that one nourish us both. May we work together with great energy. May our study be illumined. We may not unnecessarily cover with each other. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. Well, good evening. This is question and answer for spiritual seekers. And as usual, I'll mute my microphone so you can formulate your questions. And as you know, if there are no questions, there are no answers. I think somebody did have a question that they put to me in text. The question really was on meditation. And we often get a misunderstanding what is meditation. And since this is all interactive, maybe I can ask anybody here who's willing to speak to tell me what they see or what they view as meditation, what's its purpose and what's its value. So, go. Dermot, you're a seasoned meditator. Come on, tell us what is meditation. Not medication, meditation.
I suppose there are different types of it, but one type is guiding thought.
Well, we have to understand then what is meditation, what is its use. Well, maybe we should start with what is its use. Why should we meditate? Yes, go on.
Hello, Swami. Hello, everybody.
Yes, hello.
Talking about this subject of meditation and what it means and all that, that's very, very good, because for me, sometimes I'm saying what happens to me. I don't know. You explain me after, you teach me and you guide me. But meditation for me, it all depends about it changed so much. Sometimes somebody said to me, patient of mine said, I try to do meditation, but I finish organizing my day. Organizing my day. So the mind, and I don't see as a bad meditation that at all, because meditation for me sometimes is giving me the time.
So the difficult word.
We're going so fast and so from A to B to C that we don't have the time to think about anything. And meditation sometimes is giving me that.
Well, a few points. Firstly, the word try and meditation are incompatible with each other, because meditation, firstly, should be smooth and effortless. If you say try, it's putting some personal input into it. And it implies that you need to have some kind of result somewhere. And meditation, there are two rules of meditation which you need to note. The first is that there is no first person singular in it, and there is no future tense. In other words, we don't expect to get anything from it. Now, one participant sent me quite an interesting video bringing the same question up. And I always come back to probably the most relevant definition of meditation that I can find. But before I go into that, there are really two types of meditation, two categories, if you will. So the first category will be personal meditation, that is, and impersonal meditation. What is the difference? In personal meditation, we have what is called a chosen ideal, and we steer the mind toward it. And people who have a devotional nature will like that. Now, most people, I think, in this day and age, will find this the easiest. This is not just my opinion, but the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita discusses this problem. What is the difference between the impersonal kind of meditation and personal? And Sri Krishna says, well, both are true and both are valid. But you see, the better one is the personal. To fix your mind on me, says Krishna. Now, Krishna represents any other personal ideal. It's not just specifically Krishna. And the reason why it's the best is because it is the easiest, it is the sweetest. The mind naturally goes toward it. You would want the mind to be occupied with something that is entirely pleasant. After all, supposing you're at a concert and you sit there for 4 hours, and there's a real case of somebody who did it, then you won't say that you had tremendous concentration, and yet you did, because you stayed there for 4 hours and were thoroughly entertained. Now, meditation is an active process. Let's come to what is not meditation. But before that, impersonal meditation, what is that? It is still taking an object, but the object is split up into external and internal and has no specific form to it, but has a representation of a form or representation of an abstract ideal. For example, if I want to meditate on some being that has the qualities of the infinite or the undivided or the unchanging, I might select an image of the sky and start with that. Now, where do we get these ideas of meditation? Well, the best textbook on it would be the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, and that's what we study. And then you see these Yoga Sutras have wonderful commentaries, and we follow beautifully the commentary which is called Raja Yoga by Swami Vivekananda, because he incorporates in his commentaries on the sutras, he incorporates all the old commentators such as Vyasa and Vachaspati's class, and incorporates them in a kind of summary on each sutra. Sutra is a thread. We don't get any understanding from it because it requires a great commentary. It's just an aphorism. An aphorism means I give one word, maybe a sentence, not even a sentence, and I'm supposed to pick up what is the meaning from it. So it requires a commentator to tell me. The commentator is a living commentator called a teacher. Now, in personal meditation, we find one of the very best definitions of it will be meditation is a continuous song of gratitude that God is love, that God is here, and that God is now. And if you don't like the word God, and that carries some baggage with you, you can substitute for anything else. It is resting in the divine's bosom, or God's bosom, holding God's hand and feeling the divine presence. Rest in the contemplation of the Father's love and the Father's presence. Don't forget, he's talking in Christian language. Then you will be able to say, my meditation of him shall be sweet. I'll be glad in the Lord. You see, that's a beautiful sentence. And the advantage of that is, you see, the usual struggler or the usual spiritual aspirant is fully conscious that there's something missing in him, some kind of gap. And otherwise there'll be no drive or no motive ordinarily to practice any form of spiritual discipline, let alone meditation. So if everything is full, then why should I struggle? Is a new position. I'm forced to struggle because I feel some want somewhere. And I want some result from meditation, just as I expect some result from any other activity. But you see, both karma yoga and dhyana or meditation, they both have this one common factor. There are no results. Results disturb the mind. Thinking about the results disturb the mind. Expecting results disturb the mind. We should have no expectation in sitting. And meditation, as you suggest, may be different morning and evening, because in the evening, maybe all the traffic of the day has crowded in. But if you have a good view of the world where you revalued everything and re-registered everything to the divine, then it doesn't matter where your starting point is. You can take anything. There's no disturbance or distractions in meditation because anything leads you as a kind of thread inward. And so when Dermot has said, yes, it's a game of guiding thought, And there are many forms of meditation. Well, there are many varieties, but each one will be according to the varieties of about 8 billion people on the planet. In other words, there'll be different starting points, but you'll all wind up in the same unity. The object of meditation is that the meditator, the object of meditation, or the subject and object, all merge into one thing. The knower, the known, the process, all merge into one. And when there is only one thought in the mind, this is called meditation. This is called dhyana. Well, what about things like Buddhist meditation and so on? Well, that should lead you in the same direction, because the purpose of meditation is to get that kind of equilibrium of mind where there is a unity of existence felt. So it is not an intellectual exercise, nor is it entirely a visualization exercise, but we need to use the capacity of our imagination. We have no other way. So if I select the impersonal, then I have to have some kind of image. It might be the sky, it might be the water, it might be the ocean, it might be space. And then I have to internalize that. And meditation means taking consciousness, our birthright, that normally flows outward, and redirecting it inward, taking a devolutionary path, going from the outside progressively inside. And a great symbol of this will be the yantra called the Sri Yantra, which has 9 triangles, well, over 40 triangles eventually, but it shows me the image of the cosmos, how things developed. Supposing you believe in a big bang somewhere, then it will be from a small thing going in more elaborate and more complex ways and forms until I have the universe that I have, if you believe in it. Personally, I don't, as you know. But in any event, there is an origin somewhere. And we don't really think of it as creation. We think of it as a projection of itself. Something is there, and a projection is made because we don't really think that this universe is an actual universe. If it were an actual universe, then we'd have a problem. We'd have to scratch our head. Where does it come from? We'd have an origin problem or a creation problem. So that would be the difficulty with any model that has a beginning somewhere, unless you take it as an apparitional universe, as we do. It's not as it seems. If you want to look at how modern science views it, because they're investigating this, you'll see easily from 1905 that they have really endorsed the ancient idea. It must be apparitional. There's no solidity in it because space and time have vanished. Matter has vanished. Energy also can vanish. And a vanishing thing we can't take seriously. We can only take it as an apparitional thing. Now that's the philosophical foundation for it. When we come to meditation, the equilibrium of the mind is gotten because we access actual being, existence itself. And it doesn't matter what method you subscribe to, the process will have to be exactly the same. We have to go from the outside, essentially, to the inside, and it's a journey of discovery. Now, if you have a teacher who has taught you this meditation, please follow those instructions. And part of it is preparing a runway to take a flight, as it were, above the clouds. So most of the meditation process will be a preparation designed to remove every single obstacle toward intense concentration, where our attention joins to our subject and then merges into it. And so this is a process well defined, well delineated. Patanjali himself gives us several steps, 8 steps. Well, the last one is not exactly a step. It is more of an effect. Now, in order to meditate, we can't just sit down and do it. There has to be a preparation, and something like a chicken and egg situation may develop. You see, if my day, 99.99% of my day is non-classically sitting meditating, then, and it's not regulated, then all that traffic noise will come in. All my disturbances of the day, all my worries, all my anxieties, all my doubts, all my fears, all my temptations will all crowd in. So there has to be a system of guiding our attention in such a way that we reform our habit level so that when we sit for meditation, immediately our attention is aligned to the internal subject. The internal subject is our own divine self. This, therefore, means that during the day we have to see the world in such a way that our mind is not disturbed. All activities have to be done diligently, and we have to enhance the values of fortitude and contentment and gratitude. We have to have the idea of purity of mind. We are not violent in any way, in thought, word, and deed. It means on the opposite side of the coin, we have to be loving. What is the basis for loving attitude? It is to see all objects, all people, places, and events in a divine way, to see that there is some perfection that sits behind it. Now, if we cultivate our attention in this way, then it seems to me that when we sit down for meditation, we now intensify that sense of unity of existence. So you see, for 30 years, a person can go on practicing discipline on the basis that I haven't got something, I want something, I need something. If that's your form of meditation, you'll go on for eons and you won't get anywhere. So no result will come. If you think some result will come, it won't. But of course, it's not that absolutely no result will come. Something will come, because if I can have a relish for some kind of discipline, then over time some development will happen. But there will also be some assumption behind it, which will also grow so strong. But any desire to get a thing hereafter contains the valid admission, I don't have it now. I want it, in brackets, I don't have it. That will be a kind of frustration. And every time a person formally asks for strength, or seeks strength, or expects to get strength in the future, is equal to as many admissions that he hasn't got it at all. So unless you change the background, the foundation of your thought, the platform from which you project the thought into one of a positive nature, you'll always be stressing the negative. I don't have, I must have, I don't have, I must have. And if you repeat that 30 million times, I must have, non-verbally, the character would have gone on the assumption, I don't have, you don't make any progress. And sooner or later, therefore, you'll realize that the foundation itself must be changed. And it can't be changed by concentration and meditation alone. Unless meditation is understood in the sense that, it's a topic for discrimination, which says, do I really go on that assumption? Am I really a blank that needs to be fulfilled and filled? And if my nature is a blank, then no matter the amount of spiritual practice will change, my nature is my nature. So, but if on the other hand, I think that my nature is full, I think that I'm made in, to quote the biblical quotation, that I think I'm made in the divine, or the God's image and likeness. God finding all his creatures, particularly man, good. It's very difficult for some people to see humans as good. But there are no bad humans. There are only bad behaviors, including yourselves. So it must It mustn't be my human version of my human involvement, but it must be God's version where we can sit where God sits.
So let's say you were starting with your mantra and that you're meditating on the meaning of the mantra. Then, so a mantra is countable. But let's say then that as you concentrate on the meaning of the mantra, that you just become very quiet and still, beyond sort of comprehension of meaning, which that will obviously slow down the count that you would, how many times you would repeat the mantra within a time period. Should you, now that's different from being distracted or from being sleepy, dozy, you know. So if you're in that piece, should you terminate that piece, or should you and get back to your mantra repetition and, you know, attempting to comprehend its meaning? Or your, you know, as part of your mantra, like your Ishtadevata will be in that, so it's devotional as well.
So each person is different and will require a personal instruction on that, because one person might require to do the japa, that means a round of the mantra, several times before they start the meditation process. To that extent, we can say that the overall meditation is, in a sense, separate from the recitation of japa. So that japa itself can be an exercise in itself. Now, supposing you incorporate the recitation of a mantra as a preparation in the meditation process, yes, if it is of a devotional type, then the mantra is the sound embodiment of your chosen ideal. In which case, the mantra serves as an invitation for that chosen ideal to enter into the heart. Of course, the other use of the mantra will be practicing the presence of the divine throughout your day. But yes, if you're incorporating it as part of your meditation, naturally, when the mind settles into a meditative mood, its function is complete. So that means that you'll stop its repetition, because the mantra is only the internal name. An internal name is still a concept. When the concept yields to the actuality, the purpose of the concept is concluded. We all have to make a transition from concept to actuality. The actuality is a felt thing. It's experienced. So you see, it's like if you phone me up and call me, all right, you'll use my name. Well, that has a purpose. But when we're actually talking, there's no point in repeating my name constantly. Catching my attention, that's enough. In the same way, you might say, in a way, we are calling on God, we are catching his attention, her attention, its attention, whatever it is, and then saying, please come, please enter. Let us have a divine discourse. Let us talk together. Let us enjoy each other's company. And then the meditation process will then start. As a concentration process means there has to be dharana, concentration, dhyana, and samadhi. These three things constitute really the internal side of the process. The rest is more is external, leading up to as an in-between state. We often call this in-between state yoga nidra. In other words, where you have gotten to a point where there is pure awareness, and that serves as a canvas then to put something in which is called concentration dharana. You're like having a whiteboard, you're all cluttered with all kinds of things, and you clean it all off. Not with the idea of keeping it clean, but the idea then of putting something in of your own. So, that's the whole idea about it. So, meditation is something that is essential because meditation takes us away from the external world and puts us into the internal world. And the only way we can do that is through the internal mystic process and experience that is gotten through meditation. And when somebody says, I can't meditate, invariably it means they have a wrong idea about what is meditation. Well, if somebody says, I can't meditate either, their day is cluttered with anxiety or fear or doubt or many of these other things, all kinds of traffic. And they haven't got the life formula that is required to form the basis of meditation. And that is why we need to get peace of mind before we meditate. The process is clearly from scripture that there has to be self-control, control of the senses, self-control, purity of mind, peace of mind has to be attained, then meditation follows. Now, what is not meditation? What is not meditation is emptying the mind. Keeping the mind blank is not meditation. Emptying, blank, or repeating a mantra whose meaning you don't know, hitting thoughts and ideas as they arise, will cause monotony, and it's a wonderful, wonderful thing if you want a cure for insomnia, but it has nothing to do with meditation. And so, yes, you're opening a definition, which I gave you previously, is a beautiful, beautiful way of looking at it, that meditation as a process is a game of guiding thought. Just as we guide the thought during our working, waking life, we absolutely do the same thing in the meditation process. We take some ideas gathered from our internal photo album and memories, something where we felt elevated, a particular subject that inspires us. We might even prepare for it in advance, either by reading a scriptural passage or by creating some kind of imaginative construction. Patanjali gives us a number of alternative subjects ending up in, and anything which is inspiring to the mind, something like that. It can be on the inner light, he begins off like that. He gives us a number of different clues. But it all culminates in the experience, in experience of the actuality internally. So we guide the attention. Come on, let us go this way, knowing that divine grace is always flowing. There's no point in meditating to get divine grace. Thought itself is the grace arriving at your station. And all we have to do is guide it. Please go this way, please go that way, with an internal running commentary or script guiding the attention in a series of interesting journeys until we get a whole suspension of everything, an aha moment. We say, that is it. That aha moment of the infinite invisible, that point is called meditation. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, of course. What I meant before, like every time, it's like you don't know where you go, you just connect. And then sometimes it's giving you some thoughts, sometimes it's giving you contemplation alone, sometimes it's giving this variety of things is like a universe inside your mind. That's what I meant before. Like sometimes you think that you're organizing the day like this patient of mine, but what I meant is like every time it could come that peace and tranquility that our friend was talking before. Or that makes sense.
Well, you see, there's the other thing, and that is there are kind of three varieties, behavioral varieties, as you know. There are those who are more inclined toward the heart, toward the expression of emotions, in which case meditation becomes a process like that of collecting the emotions and steering it inward. In a song of love, a song of gratitude, as Joe Goldsmith puts it, the song of gratitude, that God is here, God is now, and God is love. It's a beautiful, beautiful statement. Is here, there's nothing to get. Now, most of us will have that kind of devotional nature. And that is the approach, therefore. Now, of course, don't forget, there are some people who may be impulsive in nature, actively doing people, and their difficulties will be to reconcile the inner and the outer worlds, pulling into different directions. In which case, their initial approach will be a little different, because their initial approach will be to sit without any expectations, to sit with, I think I put it like this in the literature that I've given you, that I look at him and he just looks at me, and there's nothing for me to do except to be a recipient of divine grace. That's a good starting position. In fact, for everybody is to sit and to wait a little bit. So there is a process, there's no doubt. You know, the Zen Buddhists have a beautiful, beautiful tradition. They actually salute the seat on which they're going to meditate on as a kind of ritual. So most people begin their meditation process and practice off with a little ritual that is a means for just guiding the mind in a kind of preparation. If you want to eat a meal, then you might put a tablecloth on the table. You might lay plates out. It's a kind of ritual with each item being delivered onto the table, signaling that food is about to be delivered and you're about to eat. That means while that's happening, there's an internal expectation, physical expectation, which makes saliva flow in the mouth and gastric juice flow in the stomach, and the time of day. Now, in that same way, if we select the time of day for meditation to be exactly the same time, then the mind gets into the habit, oh, this is time to meditate. Let us sit. It'll be a much easier process. And then the ritual side of it, you might make a little preparation. Preparation can be many and varied. It can be listening to some music. It could be reading a scriptural passage, or a scriptural passage, any elevating book, a book that elevates the mind. It could be a song. It could be chanting. It could be recitation of the mantra called japa. A number of different things just to prepare the environment. So recently, most people I've spoken to took the time, even though it may not be our country, to see the coronation broadcast of King Charles III and the actual coronation process. The actual coronation is putting the crown on the man's head. I suppose there are other things, anointing and what have you, you see. But before that, a procession has to occur. A royal coach is taken, and horses are there, and soldiers are mounted, and rehearsals are made beforehand, maybe 3-4 nights beforehand, and in the dead of night, just to get everything perfectly correct. And then the whole drama takes place. So in the same way, we have to prepare the mind until the mind naturally has that tendency to go toward this divine encounter, this wonderful, intimate connection that we have, which we call meditation. The mind wants to go there. In the beginning, it may be a little struggle. But after a while, the mind wants to go there. The mind urges to go there. Like a small child, come on, come on. Is it time to meditate yet? Come on. Now, beyond the structured times, the mind will increasingly want to meditate. And that also should be taken care of. So although we're saying we should meditate at least morning and evening, twice daily, well, 5 times daily is better. Let us say the juncture of day and night is the most natural moment for meditation. That is before sunrise, and, at sunset, and at midnight is another juncture of the day. That's at least 3 times a day. And midday is another junction. That's 4 times now. And then you might see that the day can be split a little bit. But if you go to a beautiful scenery, the mind will want to engage in the beauty of the scenery, which will lead you to the beauty behind that beauty. And you'll want to sit and meditate. And the mind should be encouraged and not stopped. Now, of course, all this has to be practical. So this is the one kind of meditation which is formal meditation. But we should always be engaged in the informal meditation with eyes open. And eyes open means that we should be continuously, all the time, meditating. That is, we should always be practicing the divine presence wherever we are.
Can I say something here? Because right now, the state of open eyes and being there is this is contemplation, yeah.
Call it what you want. I call it practicing the divine presence, but you can call it what you want. It's on your name.
With contemplation, because my mind is just admiring the beauty of whatever is in front and going beyond that.
Yes, and that can lead to meditation. Yes,
exactly. This is it's kind of the sense of basically it's just one state of mind that is just peaceful and not just agitated by any exterior influence.
Yes, but you see, the external is the clue, because you see, when you engage in the meditation process as a revelation, where the mind itself becomes an illuminator, the language of inside and outside makes no sense.
I know it.
Whatever you see is that. It's just that it seems to be fragmented through the mind, that's all. When you look at everything, get into the habit of understanding there's no inside, no outside. There's no exterior, there's no interior. But also not only that, but during all activities. What we call karma yoga is actually meditation with eyes open. And there is an opportunity to always feel that elevation and joy, a sense of thankfulness, gratitude, a sense of adoration, wonder, and thankfulness has to be cultivated continuously until we no longer have to cultivate it because it's already growing. It's already there. So all of spiritual discipline will be to change the habit level in such a way that the mind spontaneously goes toward its joyful environment, which is your own blissful base. Get used to it. Then there'll be no time when you're not meditating in that sense.
Swami, can I ask, just in relation to the mantra with your chosen ideal, I can't pronounce the word, sorry, but is it okay to sing it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Why not?
Thank you.
But you see, I say yes, but please understand, I take it for granted that you know that there are different forms of the mantra. The crudest form will be external. Now, you'll know that a mantra that has been given to you is secret and sacred. Nobody else should hear it. The next level of the recitation of mantra is not external, but internal, moving the lips. But the best and subtlest will be repetition in the mind. Silent repetition in the mind. That would be the most effective because it's the most intimate. That can be all the time. And yes, of course, find your own rhythm about it, sing it. And when you sing it, let the heart sing it also. Let there be an internal rapture about it as well. You see, ultimately, what we call worship, meditation, prayer is something like an expression. It's a combination of expression and a combination of listening. Definition of prayer is listening to the quiet, divine-centered voice within. Getting to that point, and the whole really of, let us say, the Christian message will be God made the world and saw that it was good, and be still and know that you are God. These two phrases can be repeated over and over again until you get that understanding. You see, there is a process to it. I mean, we've mentioned briefly, and you have mentioned that there are some steps, yes. And the steps are designed to take the attention and deliberately, in a controlled and systematic way, construct a mental environment and physical environment where the attention easily gets caught and easily driven. So the first thing that you need is a little ritual. And you may have to artificially, in the beginning, cultivate a mood. And that is why in the meditation workshop, I give you 18 mood cultivators. Not all of them are relevant, but of 18, you'll find the one which suits you, or the several which suits you. And then it's important that you're sitting properly. It's important that there's no physical distraction. You know, when I talk to yoga groups, this is Hatha yoga groups, my first question to them, they find astonishing. I say, what has yoga got to do with health and wellness? And they look at me as if I've gone half mad because, in their opinion, it's everything. And my rhetorical question gives a reply, no, hardly anything. But if you keep the body healthy, then you're able to sit and you won't be meditating on your arthritic knee. So it's very important to keep the machine that is called the body healthy for the purpose of meditation. And then it's important to see that there are no other distractions. Now, the easiest way to remove physical distractions is to do a very useful exercise. Even before that, to get steeped into silence. Make sure that you're feeling a presence. And that is often generated by creating some ritual, such as lighting a lamp and maybe lighting an incense stick or something like that, putting flowers there, and then sending a current of holy thought in all directions. If you read Swami Vivekananda's Raja Yoga First Steps, you'll see very useful preparatory things going on there. And then, how is the nervous system once you've allocated stability to the body? Maybe even by taking your attention and concentrating on different, then moving the attention round from different parts of the body. you see, if we're tense, you'll find that the solar plexus, the abdomen, is being held in which case you may require little stabilizing breathing, what we call pranayama, but not normally recommended. Only just regularizing the breathing, and Patanjali doesn't pay much attention to it, mentions it only. But you see, psychic prana, stabilizing the thought, takes care of all of that. But if that is necessary, then you can simply stabilize the breathing a little bit with a little regular breathing, no more than that. In other words, taking away any distraction caused by the nervous system. The nervous system is extremely delicate, and those who see my party trick, where the human physical magnetic field can be upset very quickly by a shock. And then you can see that all the nadis that yogis are experiencing within the body, they get upset, and it sends that message to the nervous system. And you can easily restore your equilibrium, of course. So it is important that is stabilized. And then the next thing that we do is to make sure that we can see the mental field and observe it. Mental field, physical field, we can observe it as an impersonal witness that immediately calms things down, and not restraining anything or struggling against anything, allowing things to come and go, not interfering with them, understanding they have a right, but within the scope of time. And in the scope of time, we have the advantage of inserting something of our own. And then we repeat that. And it is as much a game of guiding thought as any other game of tennis in your normal waking life. That is, observing all the thoughts that come and go and classifying them into whether they have an egocentric nature or not. Classified as rajas and tamas, that is, thoughts which are dull and lazy and dark and ignorant, or thoughts which are highly energized and full of impulsive nature that disturbs the mind, and calming it with thoughts of strength and nobility and truth and goodness and love and harmony, put that in, until the mind is saturated with the higher, nobler values. And seeing the calmness of the mind will then turn to you and say, what next? And then you take this attention and you say, all right, let us have some canalizing thought and go on a pilgrim journey to the interior, using sweet thoughts and sweet impressions of holy scenes gathered perhaps from pilgrimages, or from passengers, or from imagination. Constructing something like that. In doing that, you're constructing your runway for a flight above the clouds. As you know, above the clouds, there are no weather disturbances, only blue skies and sunshine. That point is called meditation, that moment of internal rapture, that immediate aha, that sense of pure being, where everything is suspended, including breath. You don't have to go and do this to suspend your breathing. This internal rapture will do it. You practice that. It may be a flash, it may be a second, it may be more than that. You practice it. The more you practice it, the more spontaneous it will be, the longer the duration will be also.
I'm thinking of the population of Nigeria, Swamiji.
Very good. Well, you see, Nigeria is populated with what? Heads and arms and hands and eyes, and they all belong to the divine. And the divine is flowing through each one of them and beyond. And they are placed on this planet Earth, which is a small dot as a crest of a wave, in the glorious cosmos, which is infinite, and that infinity belongs to the divine. You see, you can pick up any subject and lead it inward in a meditative way.
I'd love to understand when you say you don't believe in the universe, you believe in an apparitional universe, but I think that might be for another time.
Yes, well, okay, let me just see if I can squeeze something in. Well, it's 9 o'clock. I will pick it up at another time, but just to mention, yes, I don't think, you see, modern science will have to take a number of things for granted, such as inertia, such as gravity, such as uncertainty, such as, let's say, Pauli's exclusion principle, and many other things. But you see, what else is there? When you look at it, you'll see that things change, and that things appear and disappear. And when things change and appear and disappear in a magic show, in an illusion, you'll know it. And you may well be puzzled by it, but you won't endorse it as a reality. You'll try and find out what is the secret. And so, if you take an apparitional universe, which only finds its presence and its so-called reality because of the structure of time and space, and when you see the sum totality, then, and you take away these components, you're left with the undivided, the infinite, and the unchanging. And the way we see things is not like that. The way we see things is, we see things changing, we see things as finite, and we see things as divided. And that is only because we've introduced time and space. And if you take time and space away and causality away, then unfortunately, you'll come to one conclusion, or fortunately, that it is only an apparitional universe. It is not actual. Now, this is not a new idea. This is an idea that is evident in modern science, but most people don't take it because our gut doesn't show it. But the truth doesn't take any account of your gut reaction or how you view the universe through your eyes. The reality is something different from it. So the whole idea of the ancient philosophers was based on this whole relative universe is simply apparitional. In other words, it's impermanent. It is not real in an absolute sense. I know it looks like it, but it's only because we have a very limited view and we're dimensionally deficient in our view. Now, when our knowledge increases, I don't mean intellectual knowledge, I mean when our in-touchness increases with the reality, then the importance of the universe in which we live and are dealing with gets transmuted into an environment of waves that come and go. And we become less interested in sustaining that and much more interested in what is permanent and sits underneath it. But I can pick that up as a separate topic somewhere, some other time.
Okay, thank you very much, Swamiji.
All good. Well, Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.
Swamiji.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Swami.
Swamiji.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Swami.
Swamiji.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Swami.
Swamiji.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Om